These are my full 2026 Major League Baseball predictions. I'm going over everything from the playoffs to award winners, all of the entire season for each team. The sites that help me reach these predictions were Baseball Savant, Baseball Reference, FanGraphs, and Prospect Savant. I'm going to be starting with the AL East. In fifth place in the AL East, I have the Tampa Bay Rays going 78 and 84, winning one more game than they did in 2025. I think not having to travel for the entire second half, moving back to Tropicana Field where we get a lot of home games, will help them in that regard. But they did trade away a lot of pieces. Brandon Lau has been a key piece in their organization for years. Josh Lowe and Shane Baz were also moved. Pete Fairbanks left in free agency. You did add Cedric Mullins, who I think is going to be pretty good. You add Gavin Lux, who's a great depth piece. For them, I'm not huge on the pitching staff, which has been their main key piece. But the Rays always find a way. Offensively, they got Yandy Diaz, who's been one of the best hitters in the game for a while. Jonathan Aranda broke out last year. Junior Caminero is a star young player. But after that, there isn't so much to be excited about. In terms of prospects for this upcoming year, I like Trey Morgan. I think he can be decent. Xavier Isaac could be pretty good as well, both first basemen. You got Brody Hopkins, who does walk a decent amount of people, but I do trust the Rays to develop him into a decent starter. And I really like Ty Johnson. He had a FIP of 2.63 and 110.1 double-A innings last year. I think that does bode well, especially with the amount of innings he pitched. But I don't have like the updated stuff since he's not in AAA. In fourth place, I have the Toronto Blue Jays going 85 and 77, winning 9 less games than they did in 2025. They did add a lot of key pieces who I like. I think Dylan Cease is a good addition. Okamoto is a good addition. Tyler Rogers is a good addition to the bullpen. Jesus Sanchez is a good depth piece in the outfield. My main thing is they had some outlier performances last year. Uh, you had George Springer have a crazy bounce back year that I don't know that many people are expecting for him to do it again. Even though his advanced numbers do show that he can. I'm just worried about a Joey Votto year where Joey Votto had one really good year towards the end of his career and fell off after that. Again, Varsho also had his highest OPS of his career at 832, and before last year, his highest was a 755. So he also doesn't have the best approach. I still think he's a valuable player. I still have him being third and more in Toronto because of his elite defense. And then Ernie Clement, I don't think he's going to disappoint anybody, really. I think he's going to continue to do what he did. But with his offensive performance in the playoffs, you might think he'll be a 900 OPS guy, and he just isn't that type of guy. Some prospects for this year. Ricky Tiedeman's been a talked about prospect. Hasn't pitched a lot because of his Tommy John surgery, but people like him. And you had Adam Macko, who pitched for Canada in the WBC. Um, I'm not a big fan of their pitching this year because you had Trey Savage, who got hurt. You had Shane Bieber, who's also hurt right now. And I'm not the biggest Kevin Gausman guy going into next year. Some of his peripheral numbers make me feel like he's going to go down to average, just slightly above average. I just ultimately don't love the Blue Jays going into next year, but I could see them returning to the World Series. It's just a matter of overperformance from last year. Place in the AL East, I've got the Baltimore Orioles going 86 and 76, winning 11 more games than they did last season. I liked trading for Taylor Ward, even though you do trade away a guy with promise, but injury problems in Grayson Rodriguez. I like the buy low addition of Ryan Helsley. I really like the signing of Pete Alonso. I ranked him really high in my uh, Guy McChands 74. Trading for Shane Baz, while I do like it, I don't like that they give up a lot of prospects there. And I do like Chris Bassett as another really good addition to the bullpen or the rotation, excuse me. And Andrew Kittredge, bringing him back to Baltimore was really good. When we talk about this lineup, Gunnar Henderson, I think, is one of the best players in the world. Pete Alonso is one of the best hitters on the planet. Taylor Ward's a great hitter. Samu Basayo is a guy that is a highly touted prospect. While I'm not as big on him as a lot of people are, I still think he's got potential. You have Colton Cowser, a guy who has shown potential. I'm a really big Dylan Beavers believer. I think he's going to be very good. And Adley Rutschman, I think he has a chance to bounce back coming into the next year. And then you go over to the rotation. I really like the rotation. Trevor Rogers, while I don't think he will be nearly as good as he was last year, I still think he's a good pitcher in this league. Kyle Bradish, if he can stay healthy, he's really good. Shane Baz is a big bounce back candidate for a lot of guys. He's still only going to be 27 during this upcoming season. Bassett and Eflin are good depth pieces. And I really did like what they did with their bullpen. I think I'm really big on the Orioles to bounce back this year, have a great year with the additions they made, and one of their better players in Adley Rutschman. not necessarily returning to form, but becoming more of what you would hope he would be. And second, for the AL East, I've got the Boston Red Sox going 91-71, winning 2 more games than they did in 2025. I really, really loved what they did this offseason. Other than losing Alex Bregman, which definitely is a tough hit, adding Sonny Gray, who's a great pitcher who really got unlucky last year if you look at a lot of his numbers. Yohan Oviedo, I'm not a big Oviedo guy. I think he's a good depth piece, a great hitter in Wilson Contreras, one of the better pitchers in the game in Ranger Suarez. And you added a guy who was a pretty good rookie in Caleb Durbin, while Alex Bregman was really the only super key piece that you lost. I'm a really big Connolly early guy. I really like his Prospect Savant page. I think he can be one of the better pitchers in baseball. I'm obviously a huge Roman Anthony guy. A lot of people are. I like the offense. Jarren Duran's great. Wilson Contreras is great. Wilyer Abreu is great. Cedon Rafaela is one of the best center field defenders in the league. Like, they have a really good offense, a really good lineup. And I really like their rotation. Garrett Crochet, I think, is the third best pitcher in baseball. Sonny Gray's really good. Ranger Suarez is really good. And Brian Bayo is also a very good pitcher. And last year, their bullpen was elite with Aroldis Chapman and Garrett Whitlock. I think their bullpen's going to continue to be great. I think their lineup is going to continue to be great. I really believe in the Boston Red Sox going into 2026. To round off the AL East, obviously, we got the New York Yankees winning at 92-70, winning 2 less games than they did in 2025. They really didn't make very many changes to their roster going into the 2026 season. The key change they made was they traded for Ryan Weathers, and they lost both Devin Williams and Luke Weaver in the offseason. Most of their team returned. I'm a big Ben Rice believer. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the league this upcoming year. Two uh, two guys that I would be worried about going next year is Cam Schlittler. I think he's a great pitcher, but I think just how well he played in the postseason, you might have the expectations way too high up for a guy who has not pitched very much. And Luis Heel coming off of injury, who knows what he can be. Same thing with a Garrett Cole. Uh, Offensively, they got the best player in the world, best hitter in the world in Aaron Judge. They got Ben Rice, who I believe in. Cody Bellinger's really good. Trent Grisham's coming off of a career year. Stanton, if he stays healthy. Jazz Chisholm is one of the best second basemen in the game. Austin Wells is not a bad hitter. Like, they have an elite offense. Rotation wise, Cam Schlittler is good, but you got Max Fried, you got Rodon and Garrett Cole coming back, hopefully. Will Warren is their third starter on FanGraphs. You got Ryan Weathers, who's a good depth piece, and their bullpen's not bad, even though they lost 2 pretty good bullpen pieces. You also have Elmer Rodriguez in the minors, who hasn't made his MLB debut yet, and FanGraphs likes him as a 3 to 4 starter, and I also believe that. One guy that a lot of Yankees fans are looking forward to is Spencer Jones. I'm not a big Spencer Jones guy. With the high chase rate and swing and miss rate in the minors, not walking a lot, I just don't think he'll make consistent enough contact. In fifth place in the AL Central, I've got the Minnesota Twins going 66-96 with 4 less wins than last year. Last year at the deadline, they traded away about half their team, and I think that's where the team got really bad. And I think nothing's going to change as they didn't make too many crazy additions, or I don't see a lot of guys taking a huge step up to making this team much better than they were last year. I do like the Josh Bell addition. He made some good changes last year. Anthony Bonda, they brought into the bullpen. They brought in Victor Caratini and Taylor Rogers. Those were their key additions. Potential surprises for them, I could see a world where Matt Wallner shows up and becomes a really good player. I really liked Royce Lewis. All the injuries have hurt him. Maybe he can re-get that magic and become one of those great players. One player that I'm a little worried about is Luke Keeschel. He had a pretty high BABIP last year, and I still think he'll be productive, but he has a low hard hit rate, and I think he's more of a 750 OPS guy than what he showed last year. A prospect I really do like for this team is Connor Prelip. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a starting pitcher. He pitched in AAA last year, and he didn't have a great FIP, but in the AAA innings he did pitch. He was 72nd percentile in strikeout rate, 73rd percentile in hard hit rate, 76th in barrel rate, 76th in average exit velocity, 87th in chase rate, and 76th in whiff rate. And the only stat that wasn't red on there was his walk rate. So if Prelip can bring the walks down, I can really see him being an all-star caliber starting pitcher. They also got Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez, who are also prospects that might make their call up soon. Joe Ryan is still a really good pitcher. Bailey Ober's looking to reestablish some of what he had before. And you also got Byron Buxton, who in my opinion is one of the best players in the game. But overall, not too much to be excited about going into the season for the Minnesota Twins. At number 4, I've got the Chicago White Sox going 69 and 93, winning 9 more games than last year. Key guys I like that they added. Austin Hayes is a good depth piece in the outfield. Sir Anthony Dominguez is a really good reliever. Munetaka Murakami, who knows what he's going to be, but I think he will be good. And they added Jordan Hicks, who could be a good reliever. And they brought in Luis Angel Acuna in the trade that they got rid of Luis Robert Jr. in. Um, Anthony Kay was another interesting addition. He was pretty good in Japan. He was really good in Japan with a 1.74 ERA and a FIP of 2.55 last year at NPB. Like I really do think Anthony Kay could be a surprise. I really like Grant Taylor in that bullpen. I think he's going to be the closer by the end of the year. He strikes people out. He gets a lot of swings and misses. His FIP was 1.42 last year in the innings he pitched, and I really am a big Colson Montgomery fan. Some prospects, Noah Schultz could make his debut. I like Tanner McDougal as well, and Sam Antonacci showed in the WBC that he could be a quality player. That being said, though, that's about all the good stuff that comes with this team. Offensively, outside of Colson Montgomery and the excitement of Munetaka Murakami, there isn't all that much to get yourself excited for next season. And then in the rotation, Shane Smith is decent. I think Anthony Kay could be good. But after that, there isn't really all that much. Their bullpen is good, though. I do like their bullpen. I think that their young players are going to take a step up, and ultimately that's going to be the difference for them going into the next season. In third place in the AL Central, I got the Cleveland Guardians going 79 and 83, winning 9 games less than they did in the 2025 season. This year feels very similar to the 2023 season for Cleveland. They had a lot of young, exciting rookies come up in 2022, and then in 2023 they struggled because it was a lot of rookies that maybe overperformed some expectations. And I feel that the 2026 season could run into the same thing. They didn't really lose many key pieces. Lane Thomas is the key one they lost. They had a big addition, not addition, excuse me, contract extension with Jose Ramirez, and a big addition in Sean Armstrong. I think that's a great bullpen piece. And they did add a lot of other bullpen pieces as well. I'm a big Bo Naylor believer. I think he underperformed expectations, got unlucky, had a really good September after changing some of his batting stance, and I think he's more of a league average hitter than he was last year. I think Tanner Bybee has figured things out. He got the opening day nod. I'm worried about Gavin Williams because he does walk a lot of people. There could be a lot of volatility with that. I'm a big Parker Messick believer as well. I think he's the third best pitcher in this rotation going into 2025 or 2026, excuse me. Some prospects that you could be on the lookout for: Juan Brito, Travis Bazana. Technically, Chase DeLauder hasn't made his MLB debut because his only game was in the postseason. I think he's very good. It's just a matter of staying healthy. You got Daniel Espino, who was a big prospect. He's probably just a reliever. He could be good. You got Cal Steffen, who you got for Shane Bieber last year. I think he can be pretty good as well. But offensively, it pretty much starts and ends with Jose Ramirez. You got Stephen Kwan and Kyle Manzardo. You added in Reese Hoskins, which I really liked in the offseason. But after that, I'd be really worried to see what the rest of this offense is going to do, even with my belief in Bo Naylor. Rotation wise, they had a really good rotation last year, but I just don't fully believe in Slade Ciccone or fully believe in Joey Cantillo, although I think he's a very good pitcher. Bullpen wise, I think they're good, but definitely not as good with Clase never playing again, basically. Um, Everyone has to move up. You have uh, Hunter Gaddis missing the beginning of the year. Overall, I just think that the Guardians maybe got somewhat lucky with the performance of young players, and it might backfire on them going into 2026. In second place for the AL Central, I got the Kansas City Royals going 84 and 78, winning 2 more games than last year. I really like their offense, and I really like the addition of Matt Strom in a trade. And Isaac Collins, I think, was a good trade as well. They extended Michael Garcia and Salvador Perez. Their offense is elite. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players in the world. Pascal Tino is a great hitter. Michael Garcia is one of the best hitters in the game now. Salvador Perez continues to do it, even though I've been like, how? Because he chases so much and he keeps getting older. He'll be 36 this year. Jack Haglione's a promising prospect. Jonathan India's a pretty decent depth piece. And I'm a huge believer in Carter Jensen. I think he's one of the better rookies going in this year. Last year, he played 20 games in the majors with a 159 WRC plus. He has great bat speed. He doesn't chase very much. He walks a good amount. He hits the ball hard. Like all the things you look for in a potential star player. Like I could see him being an all-star this year or a perennial all-star in the future. The one thing that sets me away from this team, even though I think the Royals could easily win the division and make the playoffs, is their rotation. On the surface level, their rotation looks really good, but I really only truly believe in Cole Reagans. You got Seth Lugo, who did not have a great year last year. His ERA was 4.15, but his FIP was a 5.09, and every single percentile ranking was 35th percentile or lower on Baseball Savant. And he will be 36 for the entire season this year. He's getting older. He did not have a great year last year, and he overperformed expectations last year. I really do think Lugo could have a huge fall off and lose his rotation spot going into next year. I'm really not the biggest fan of their pitching staff, and that's what holds me back on the Kansas City Royals. Winning the AL Central, I have the Detroit Tigers going 92-70, winning 5 more games than they did in 2025. They added Kenley Jansen to their bullpen. They added Framber Valdez into their rotation, which I think is a huge addition to make that two-headed monster with him and Screwball. And they added Justin Verlander as a nice depth piece at this point in his career. They basically brought back the same offense. Kerry Carper is a great hitter. Gleyber Torres is a good hitter. I'm big on Colt Keith. I think he's way better than he's shown. I really like his stats. Riley Green is a great hitter, and I think Torkelson, there's another level to him. I really think he can be very good. And Kevin McGonigal is apparently going to be on the opening day roster according to FanGraphs. I think he has superstar potential. I do like Hao Yu Lee as another prospect. Dylan Dingler is a guy I really like. I have him third in WAR for this team. Like, I think their offense is very good, and I don't see them having a collapse like they did last year. Rotation wise, you got the best pitcher in the world, and if he's not the best, he's the second best. He's like 1A, 1B with Skeens. You got Framber Valdez, who's a really good number 2 starter. You got Jack Flaherty, who's a decent depth piece. You got Verlander, a decent depth piece. Casey Mize, another really decent depth piece. You've got Jackson Jobe, who's going to make it back later in the year. I really do like their pitching staff. Their bullpen has been good in the past. FanGraphs has Kenley Jansen as their closer. I'm not a big Kenley Jansen guy. I don't think he's going to be in this bullpen at the end of the year. I really don't. His BABIP last year for opponent BABIP was 195. His FIP was a 3.98, and he gives up a lot of hard hits these days. But I still think the Detroit Tigers are an elite team going into the 2026 season. In fifth place in the AL West, I've got the Los Angeles Angels going 73-89, gaining 1 win from their 2025 total. Their offseason involved trading away Taylor Ward. They added Grayson Rodriguez in that trade. They traded for Josh Lowe. Alek Manoah was an addition. You had Jordan Morano, Drew Pomerantz, and Kirby Yates all added to the bullpen. A lot of guys who used to be good have the name value, and they're trying to recoup some of that value and maybe trade those guys at the deadline. Offensively, I think they have some decent pieces. Obviously, they have one of the best players ever to ever play this game, Mike Trout. I still think there's something there. He wasn't bad last year, and I think he'll be better next year. Zach Neto, to me, is maybe the most underrated player in baseball. He's a great hitter at shortstop, plays decent defense there, and is never talked about. But after that, offensively, you got Moncada, who's good. Joe Adell had a really good year last year. I think there's some potential with Logan O'Hoppe, but overall, their offense isn't great. And if you go to the rotation, I like Jose Soriano, excuse me. I think he's very good. He keeps the ball on the ground. He has a great pitch mix, throws hard, gets swings and misses. He's a very good pitcher to me. Now, do you want him to be your ace? Maybe not at this point in his career. I also think Reed Detmers has some potential. Maybe we can see what people thought he was going to be years ago. But other than that, I'm not big on the rotation. They do have Tyler Bremner, who could get called up, but they just drafted number 2, and George Clausen, who I am a huge fan of George Clausen. I think he's going to be an ace in the majors. His Prospect Savant page has read all over, and his Prospect Savant score was in the 100th percentile. I really believe that George Clausen is an ace in the making. And they also have Nelson Rada as another prospect, but I am not big on Nelson Rada. I think he's kind of like in a rise or quad at his ceiling, and I feel he might not hit that ceiling. So overall, not much to cheer for the Angels, but I still think that they will be a better, more fun watch than they were in 2025. In fourth place in the AL West, I have the Athletics going 78-84, winning 2 more games than last year. A big addition they made was adding Jeff McNeil. They also added Aaron Savali as a depth piece in the rotation, and they extended Soderstrom and Jacob Wilson offensively. They are elite. Nick Kurtz is one of the best players, one of the best hitters in the game already. Shea Langeliers is a great offensive catcher who has a cannon of an arm back there. Soderstrom is an elite hitter that we saw last year. All three of those guys made my top 74. Brent Rooker almost made my list. Lawrence Butler has a lot of potential. You had Jacob Wilson with his great bat to ball skills last year. And Denzel Clark is an elite defensive center fielder. And that's kind of where it not necessarily ends, but I am worried about their rotation. Luis Severino is decent, but he was bad last year. Jeffrey Springs was not very good last year. Like there is a lot of maybe it's the stadium they play in that makes it tough for their pitchers to put up great stats. But I'm not a huge fan of the rotation. One guy I am a big fan of is Jacob Lopez. He was 94th percentile in hard hit rate, 95th percentile in extension, meaning the ball gets there faster than it actually does. Like it appears faster. Barrel rate was 78th percentile, 85th percentile in K rate, and 73rd percentile in whiff rate. I really think Jacob Lopez is going to be their best starter this year, or one of their best starters. I'm just not a huge guy in their rotation. Same thing with their bullpen. I think their bullpen is not the best. So that's what I'm worried about with the A's is the same issue they came across last year is their offense is great, but you need good, consistent pitching to carry you to a playoff spot, although I do think that they are a dark horse playoff contender. In third place in the AL West, I have the Texas Rangers going 79 and 83, winning two less games than the 2025 total. They made an interesting trade in the offseason, trading for Brandon Nimmo, getting rid of Marcus Semien in a one-for-one deal. They traded for Mackenzie Gore, getting rid of 5 prospects. They brought back Jordan Montgomery and brought in Dane Jansen to be their starting catcher. They lost a lot of key pieces that weren't necessarily great last year, but were big in the culture in Texas, like an Adolis Garcia and a Jonah Heim. And they lost a great reliever in Sean Armstrong in this offseason. Overall, I think their offense has some potential. Corey Seager, to me, is one of the best hitters in baseball, and he has been for years. I'm a big Wyatt Langford believer. I think he is one of the top players. And I think he's going to take that jump into being talked about as a top outfielder in the game. But other than that, offensively, I don't love what they have going for them. I do believe in Evan Carter. I do think I have him fourth in WAR for Texas this year. Um, Josh Young has potential. There's Jake Berger who hits a lot of homers. Brandon Nimmo has been a consistent outfielder in baseball, but offensively, I don't feel like they added a lot and to improve from their last year's numbers. Pitching wise, though, I love their rotation. Nathan Eovaldi to me is one of the best pitchers. I had him in my top 74 players. Jacob DeGrom just missed my list, although I could definitely look stupid for that. They trade for Mackenzie Gore, who has ace potential, but has not shown that. A guy who I don't fully believe in is Jack Leiter. Um, he was 16th percentile in walk rate, 12th percentile in chase rate, and he didn't really counteract that with crazy strikeouts with 53rd percentile. So I think he gives up hard hits too much, walks too many guys. Although he's still got a lot of potential, he'll only be 26. And I am a fan of their rotation. Their bullpen is pretty decent, not elite. So that's why I think with a maybe average offense and an average bullpen and a slightly above average pitching staff, that will get you to close to 81 and 81 like they were last year. I just see maybe a little bit of a decline going into the 2026 season. In second place, I have the Seattle Mariners going 88 and 74, winning two less games than last year. I really do like their additions. They traded for Brendan Donovan, and they signed Rob Refsnyder. And in addition to that, they traded for Jose Ferrer. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I think he's a really good left-handed reliever. So those are some of the good additions that they made. They did trade away Harry Ford, who is a good prospect, but he was never going to play catcher because they got the best catcher in baseball. They also let Jorge Polanco walk, which was a key piece of their team last year, and Eugenio Suarez, who came in at the deadline, was not the best once getting traded to Seattle. I like their offense. I really do. I think their offense is great, especially with the addition of Brandon Donovan. But I just don't see Cal Riley repeating what he did last year. It would be insane if he did it again. I can't imagine that happens. Julio Rodriguez is the top player in this game. I do like bringing back Josh Naylor, but there is some things to be concerned about. His bat speed went down 1.9 miles per hour. His barrel rates were down. His chase rate went up. So I just feel like he still will be a good player, but we might see a decline. I am worried about Josh Naylor going forward. Arozarena is a great player as well. Like their offense is good and their rotation is very good. They're a very good team. I have Logan Gilbert as their ace, and so does FanGraphs, and so does the fact that he's their opening day starter. I think Logan Gilbert's really good. I am worried about Brian Wu. His FIP was a little bit higher. Like I still think he's one of the best pitchers in the game. His FIP was 3.44, while his ERA was 2.92, and his BABIP was at 240, and the league average is around 300. So I think we could see him being more of a 3.5 ERA guy than a under 3 ERA guy. Luis Castillo is getting older. His FIP was a 3.88 in 2025. I think we can start seeing a little bit of decline. He was 43rd percentile in K rate, and he allowed barrels at a high rate. So I think Luis Castillo is still a good pitcher. Still think they have a lot of really good depth. They have potentially Cade Anderson getting called up at some point during the year as the number 3 overall pick last year. Another prospect I like is Colt Emerson. I think he could be a really good player. Is he going to play shortstop? Who knows? I really think he could, and I think he could be an all-star caliber guy once he makes the MLB. So ultimately, I think Seattle is a really good team and could make another run at the World Series in 2026. Reclaiming their crown as on top of the AL West, I have the Houston Astros going 91-71, winning 4 more games than last year. They added Tatsuya Imai, who I think is going to be good from NPB, and they traded for Mike Burrows, somehow getting themselves in the Brandon Lau trade to the Pirates. And I'm a big Mike Burrows believer. They did lose Framber Valdez. They traded away Jesus Sanchez and Mauricio Dubon, and Victor Caratini was a key piece on the team last year. But ultimately, I still think this team is very, very good. Offensively, I don't think Jose Altuve is going to be great. I think this is the year where he falls off. He was 5th percentile in chase rate, 25th percentile in barrel rate, and 10th percentile in hard hit rate. And he has overperformed his expectations or his expected numbers his whole career. But I think this might be the year where we see a decline. Jeremy Pena, I think, is a very good player. He just missed out on my top 74, but the only above average stat in his savant was his K rate, which is good. You're not striking out, but his chase rate was 11th percentile, whiff rate was 31st, and his walk rate was 28th. I still think that Jeremy Pena is a great player with great speed, great defense, but I just don't know that he's as good as he was last year, especially with the injury that he suffered in the WBC or before the WBC. Overall, though, they still have Jordan Alvarez. I still think Carlos Correa is a great player. Cam Smith is a nice young piece. Offensively, they are not the best, but I still think that they are a good offense with potential for some of their young guys to step up and be even better. Uh, in their rotation, Hunter Brown, I think, is a great pitcher, one of the better pitchers in baseball. I really like the Tatsuya Imai addition. He could be a Rookie of the Year candidate, even though he's a little bit older. I really like Mike Burrows, especially with the Astros pitching lab. He had above average K rate and walk rate and whiff rates last season. So I just think the Astros are going to figure something out with Mike Burrows. Christian Javier and Lance McCullers not big on those guys, but I think that they might be able to figure something out. The Astros also have Ethan Pecco, a prospect who was 88th percentile in K rate, 76th percentile in walk rate in AAA last year, and he had a FIP of 2.99. So I really do think that he could be a major league contributor in the 2026 season. Overall, I just think the Astros are going to reclaim their crown atop the division with a great pitching staff, a great bullpen, and a pretty decent offense. And they only have to get 4 games better. And I just think that it's highly possible with this Houston Astros organization, especially with Jordan Alvarez actually being in the lineup all year next year. 5th place in the NL East, I have the Washington Nationals going 62-100 and winning 4 less games than they did last year. They traded away Mackenzie Gore. They let Josh Bell walk, and they traded away Jose A. Ferrer to the Mariners, a really good left-handed reliever. But they got Harry Ford, a catcher who I really think is going to be good next year. They also traded for Gavin Feen, who was the top prospect that you may have heard of in the Mackenzie Gore trade, and Zach Littell, a good addition to their rotation as a depth piece. Offensively, James Wood, very good, one of the better hitters in baseball. C.J. Abrams is a decent player, but outside of that, not so much to be super excited about, outside of the fact that I believe Harry Ford could be an all-star caliber player. He has an elite approach, 95th percentile in chase rate. He doesn't swing and miss too much, 70th percentile in whiff rate, leading to 90th percentile walk rate and 69th percentile strikeout rate in AAA last year. He also barrels the ball, 70th percentile barrel rate in AAA. He had a WRC plus of 125 and 458 plate appearances. I really believe in Harry Ford. Another prospect I believe in who was in the Mackenzie Gore trade, Abimelech Ortiz. Last year he had a 124 WRC plus, in 130 games across AA and AAA. His WRC plus was a 134 in 41 AAA games. In AAA, he was 70th percentile in barrel rate, 91st in max exit velo, 88th in average exit velo, 93rd in hard hit rate, 81st in cold air rate, meaning he could hit home runs, and 72nd in whiff rate, meaning he doesn't swing and miss that much. 99th percentile in prospect score. I mean, the only concern is that he chases a decent amount, but for underrated prospect that most people have not heard of, I really think Abimelech Ortiz could be an all-star type player in the minors. Pitching staff wise, there isn't much to be excited about in the bullpen or the rotation other than Cade Cavalli, who throws really hard, keeps the ball on the ground, and misses barrels. I think he could be an all-star caliber pitcher going into next year. But overall, not so much to be excited for the Nationals, but I do think there's some exciting prospects that maybe could pan out and have an exciting season. In fourth place in the NL East, I have the Miami Marlins winning 75 games, losing 87, and winning 4 less games than last year. I think I might be underrating the Miami Marlins with a lot of it, who have a lot of exciting pieces. They had Pete Fairbanks who can close games out for them. They did trade away Edward Cabrera, who's a very good pitcher, but they brought in Owen Casey, who I believe is going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate and could possibly win the award this year. Um, Offensively, there's some stuff to be excited about. Obviously, Owen Casey, I brought him up. He had a 139 WRC plus in AAA, and he was 96th percentile in barrel rate, 92nd percentile in hard hit rate, 76th percentile in chase rate, and 75th percentile in walk rate. So, like, he doesn't chase too much. I think he can be a very well above average hitter at the big league level despite his strikeouts. Jacob Marcy was exciting last year. I think he can continue to do that. He's got good speed. He plays good defense in center. I think he'll be a pretty good player. Maybe not an 841 OPS type guy, but I think he'll continue that. You had Agustin Ramirez, who was very good last year, although I don't know that he'll stick at catcher, but you got Joe Mack, maybe getting called up soon. I like Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards as good depth middle infield pieces. Kyle Stowers is hurt right now. He just got hurt, but he's a very good player. I think he was 42 in my top 74 list. So I really do believe in their offense. I think their offense might be better than even I'm giving them credit for. And then pitching wise, I do like some of their pitching, and I like their pitching in the minors even more so than the majors. There's obviously Sandy Alcantara, who knows what he's going to be. I'm worried about him. You got Yuri Perez, who also was kind of coming off injury last year, but he still throws hard. I was one of the big believers in Yuri Perez before his injury, so who knows what's going to happen there. You have Max Meyer, Chris Paddock, and Jansen Junk, who I'm not big fans of going into next year. Although I will say they got two really, really exciting pitching prospects in Thomas White and Robbie Snelling. I think they both have the chance to be a Cy Young type of candidate. I like Robbie Snelling more than Thomas White, with Thomas White walking a decent amount where I think he could end up being more of a bullpen piece in the future. But Robbie Snelling had an 100th percentile prospect score on Prospect Savant. He was elite in AAA last year. I think Robbie Snelling is going to be a certified ace at the big league level. And their bullpen's not bad. Even while I'm talking myself into being completely wrong here, and they could be a sneaky playoff team next year. In third place in the NL East, I've got the Atlanta Braves going 84 and 78, kind of having a mini bounce back, winning 8 more games than they did last year. They added Mike Yastrzemski, who I really do like that addition. Jonah Heim as a backup catcher, Robert Suarez to potentially close out games between him and Raisel Iglesias, and you had Mauricio Dubon as a nice utility piece to add in. You lost Marcelo Zuna, who is a good hitter, but you added more than what you lost, in my opinion, in the offseason. I feel that there's no way that their offense, like I think Austin Riley is going to have a huge bounce back. He's a huge bounce back candidate. He pulled the ball in the air as hard as the best he ever had in his career. He still barrels the ball at a high clip, hits the ball really hard, and his approach isn't that much different. His chase rate is not much different than his best year. So I really think Austin Riley is going to have a big bounce back year. You have Acuna, you got Drake Baldwin. They got a really good offense. I'm not the biggest Michael Harris guy. I don't fully believe in Ozzy Albies. I don't think he'll bounce back from his bad year, but I think that they got 6-ish really good hitters going into this upcoming year. Rotation wise, I like Chris Sale. After that, and even Chris Sale is a big question mark because he's got health issues his whole career, the last 7 years. After that, like Ronaldo Lopez was good last time he pitched, but he has had injury problems. Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, and Jose Suarez are not guys you're getting super excited about. And even Spencer Strider before the injury, I was worried about him. And now you don't have Schrellenbach probably for the whole year, or AJ Smith-Shawver for the whole year, or Shawver might come back. But ultimately, I'm just not big on their rotation, and that's what I think is going to hold them back from making the playoffs. I just think their offense and their bullpen are going to be good enough to carry them close to the playoffs. But I'm worried about them. But I could see them easily making the playoffs. I just am not the biggest believer in the Atlanta Braves in 2026. In second place in the NL East, I have the New York Mets winning 87 games, losing 75, winning four more than last year. They had a super eventful offseason. It was a lot of moves. First of all, let's just start with free agent signings. They signed Devin Williams and Luke Weaver to improve their bullpen. They signed Jorge Polanco and Bo Bichette to improve their offense. The key trade I think they made was trading for Freddie Peralta. They traded away Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat in that deal. They also brought back Tobias Myers, who's a pretty good depth rotation piece. They traded away Brandon Nimmo, which was a huge change, and they brought in Marcus Semien. That being said, they did lose Cedric Mullins and Ryan Housley, who were not great when they traded for them. But Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso were key pieces to what they've been doing for years now. But maybe this team needed that shakeup. I do think that they're a very good team going into 2026. I'm a huge believer in the offense. Like Juan Soto, one of the best hitters in the world. Francisco Lindor, great defender, great hitter. Jorge Polanco, I'm not sure about him repeating what he did last year, but I think he's very good. You have Bo Bichette, who's been a good hitter. I think Robert could be better than he's been in the past. I'm a believer in Brett Beatty. I think he was very good last year. At 130 games, he had a 111 WRC plus. And I think there is more. He was 86th percentile in bat speed, an 80th percentile in barrel rate, 72nd percentile in hard hit rate, and he doesn't chase. He was 71st percentile in chase rate. I think there's another level to even a 111 WRC plus like Brett Beatty had last year. I think Carson Benj is a very good player who's going to be making the opening day roster. I do believe in Ryan Clifford potentially getting called up and Francisco Alvarez. Like their offense is a very good, one of the best offenses in baseball. Their rotation is good, not the best in the world. I like Nolan McClain. I think Freddie Peralta is a certified ace, although I think he's more of a 3.5 ERA guy than his 2.7 from last year. Closer to that 3.64 FIP that he had in 2025. Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, and David Peterson are all good rotation pieces. Their bullpen is not the best in the world, but a decent enough bullpen. I do believe in Sean Manaea as well to bounce back. Like I really think the Mets are going to have a much better year than last year. I don't see them collapsing. I think they're just going to continue to be great in 2026. Winning the NL East, I got the Philadelphia Phillies winning it again, going 93 and 69, winning three less games than they did last year. They lost Ranger Suarez and Harrison Bader. They traded away Matt Strom, and they added in Adolis Garcia and Brad Keller. With Adolis Garcia looking to see him bounce back, with Brad Keller looking to see him continue his excitement, the exciting year he had last year. Their offense has three really key pieces: Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. Those are the three best hitters on this team. I'm not big on like Alec Boehm's a good player. Adolis Garcia, I'm not huge on him bouncing back. You have JT Realmuto, you have Brandon Marsh, you got a decent offense. I'm not big on Justin Crawford. They're going to give him probably the opening day start. I'm just I'm not a big Justin Crawford guy. He's a contact first guy with elite speed and plays good defense, but I don't think he hits the ball hard enough and he chases a lot. That's my issue with him is he doesn't walk enough. Like he doesn't have a good enough eye to me to become a great everyday guy. But I could be proven wrong. He had a 135 WRC plus in AAA in 2025, so he still could be good. I'm not the biggest Justin Crawford guy. A guy I do believe in is Aiden Miller. I think he has decent speed and he had a 137 WRC plus in 116 minor league games last year. I really do think Aiden Miller is going to be good. And an underrated prospect I like that could potentially make his debut is Gabriel Rincones Jr. He had 18 homers and 21 stolen bases in AAA last year in 119 games with a 115 WRC plus. He hits the ball at a high hard hit rate at 45.7% in 2025, which would have been 62nd percentile in the majors. He doesn't swing and miss too much, and he doesn't chase too much either. So I'm just like I'm a fan of Gabriel Rincones to become a key offense piece. And then rotation wise, they might have the best rotation in baseball. I'm a big, big believer in Jesus Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler. They also have Aaron Nola, who I think could bounce back. Taijuan Walker's a decent depth piece. You also have Andrew Painter, who people are excited about. And they got a great bullpen. Overall, the Phillies are a great team, but this could be one last hurrah for a team that's getting older and we could see some decline in the coming years. But I still think this year is going to be great for the Philadelphia Phillies. Fifth place in the NL Central, I have the St. Louis Cardinals going 67 and 95, winning 11 less games than last year. They're finally going into a rebuild for the first time in maybe their team's history, really. Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, and Brendan Donovan all got traded, all for prospects. Those guys who you're not really expecting to make an impact this upcoming season. JJ Weatherholt is, in my opinion, their most exciting hitter and potentially their best player as he made the opening day roster. I really believe in him to be a big Rookie of the Year candidate. Offensively, though, they got Ivan Herrera, who I believe is a very good hitter as well. But outside of that, not much, either just depth pieces or guys who would be decent but not great, and you're not going to be able to build a consistent enough offense there. In addition, their rotation's not very good. I do think Kyle Leahy's pretty decent. He would be a good like 3 to 5 starter on a winning team, but when he's your ace, in my opinion, I think he will be the best pitcher on the Cardinals this upcoming year. You're not gonna like it. Their bullpen is not great to me. Like overall, this is a team that clearly is not looking to win at this point, and it shows. And they're gonna hope to get a good draft pick. And I think in 2 years they got the foundation of a decent offense. They just need a little bit of time to develop and get some pitching. In fourth place in the NL Central, I have the Cincinnati Reds going 77 and 85, winning 6 less games than last season. A big piece of news was that Hunter Green's going to be out for about half the year, which did affect my calculations in terms of who I thought their best players would be, because I thought Hunter Green would be one of their best players and their record. Key additions though, I like the Eugenio Suarez addition. They traded for Brock Burke and they added Caleb Ferguson to their bullpen. They did lose Austin Hayes. They did trade away Gavin Lux. They did lose Miguel Andujar, who was good for them last year, Zach Littell, and Nick Martinez, who were both pretty decent pitchers. Overall, I think their offense is decent. Ellie De La Cruz is a great player. TJ Friedel's a good leadoff hitter. I really believe in Sal Stewart. I have him third in WAR for this team, and I think he could be even better than that. Suarez hit, I think, 49 homers last year. Noel V. Marte was good in his time. You might get an Edwin Arroyo call up at some point during the year, and he's pretty good. So I think the offense is actually a pretty good offense, especially in Cincinnati. A guy that they signed on a minor league deal, non-roster invite, was Michael Tolia, and I think he could, if he gets an opportunity, surprise some people, although I would not count on that. Rotation-wise, they got a really good rotation. Even without Chase Burns, their rotation's good. Andrew Abbott, while I think he may have overperformed some of his expected numbers last year, I still think he's a great pitcher. I think Lodolo was really good. I have him as their best in terms of WAR going into next year. I have Nick Lodolo being second on the team. Uh, I really believe in Chase Burns as well. I have him fourth in WAR for the team next year. Brady Singer's a good depth piece. Rhett Lauder's young and has potential. Bullpen wise, though, their top two bullpen arms, both Emilio Pagan and Tony Santillan, I'm not huge on them. Pagan's FIP last year was 372. The BABIP was 200. So those are just getting lucky, not sustainable. Tony Santillan, similar-ish story. His FIP was 3.72, and his opponent BABIP was 250. He gave up a lot of hard hits. I'm just not big on their bullpen, and that may be part of the reason why I don't see them winning as many games next year. But I definitely could see them making the playoffs, especially with their really good rotation and pretty decent offense as well. In third place in the NL Central, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates going 81 and 81, winning 10 more games than last year. I really believe in the Pirates. I like what they did this offseason, signing Ryan O'Hearn and Marcelo Ozuna to bolster their offense. They traded for Brandon Lau. I'm not huge on Brandon Lau going into this year. I'm a little bit worried with him, but I still think he could be a decent player. And Jostinson Garcia, where they traded away Johan Oviedo, and they also traded away Mike Burrows, and they did not bring back Andrew McCutchen. I'm not a big Jostinson Garcia guy, but offensively, I think they got a lot. O'Neal Cruz, I think, is very good. He didn't have a great year last year, but I do believe in O'Neal Cruz, as I have him in fifth in WAR for the team next year. Brandon Lau's a good addition. They got, I think, 7 guys who can be like above average hitters with O'Hearn, Marcell Ozuna, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, Brandon Lau, Spencer Horwitz, and Connor Griffin, who I'm assuming will get called up at some point. I think he only didn't get called up because he couldn't find an extension. They're trying to manipulate service time. Connor Griffin is a superstar in the making. Another guy I really do like in their minor league system is Trumar Johnson. I think he could be a pretty decent everyday second baseman at the big league level. It's just a matter of when is he going to get called up. Pitching wise, they got one of the best pitchers in the world in Paul Skeens, a great depth piece in Mitch Keller, who puts up about a 4 ERA every year. I really believe in Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft. I think both of them are going to be top 5 in WAR for the Pirates next year. I really think the Pirates rotation is up there. The bullpen's not the best, but it's not the worst. And there's one guy in the minors who hasn't made his debut named Brandon Bedois. I don't know how to pronounce it. He had a .74 ERA and a 2.4 FIP across 61 minor league innings, and in 13 AAA innings, he ranked 92nd percentile K rate, 93rd percentile barrel rate, 97th in hard hit rate, and 97th or 79th in hard hit rate, and 97th in chase rate. While he does walk a lot of people, I think he can be a very good reliever for the 2026 Pirates down the stretch. And I can see the Pirates shocking the world and even winning this division with how I feel it's a fairly wide open division if their offense can figure things out and their pitching staff does what we expect them to do. In second, in the NL Central, I have the Milwaukee Brewers going 86 and 76, winning 11 less games than last year. They made a lot of changes in the offseason. Starting with trading away Freddie Peralta, they traded away Caleb Durbin and Isaac Collins, who were all pretty key pieces on their team last year. They did bring in Kyle Harrison, who I think could be very good, Angel Zerpa in the bullpen, Jet Williams, Brandon Sproat, and David Hamilton. They also signed Luis Rengifo, who is probably going to play as a starter on this team next year. I've kind of learned don't bet against the Brewers, but I still think they have a very good team. Offensively, Jackson Churio is a great young player. William Contreras is very good. Bryce Strang's a great defender, and I think he will continue to be a good hitter. You have Christian Yelich. Andrew Vaughn was very good last year. So offensively, I think they still got a lot of really good pieces. Rotation wise, Jacob Mizorowski's got all the potential in the world. You got a Brandon Woodruff who's very good. Logan Henderson is a nice young player who qualifies as a rookie that I think could be a sneaky rookie of the year pick. Brandon Sproat has a lot of potential. And with Kyle Harrison, I think he is a great potential pitcher, and I think the Brewers pitching lab can figure that out. In addition, the guy they got for Caleb Durbin, Shane Drohan, I think can be a pretty decent reliever at the big league level, especially again with the Brewers pitching lab. I just truly believe in the Brewers pitching lab. He had high K rates in league average walk rates in the minors. I think that the Brewers are going to be just fine. They made a lot of changes, and I think they will still be a very good team in 2026. In first place in the NL Central, I have the Chicago Cubs going 86 and 76, winning 6 games less than they did last year. I just think they will get the tiebreaker against the Milwaukee Brewers. They added Phil Maton, who's a very good reliever. They added Alex Bregman, who's a very good player, and they traded for Edward Cabrera. My main worry with that Edward Cabrera trade is I think it can go down as a bad trade. I think Owen Casey is going to be a perennial all-star, and you're going to be looking back at this trade unless it works out and you become a World Series champion as something you don't love. They let Brad Keller walk, who was a key piece of their bullpen, and Kyle Tucker went to the Dodgers, which does not help the Cubs out as they also traded away the Kyle Tucker replacement in Owen Casey. Offensively, I think they got a really, really good offense. Michael Busch is a great player. Alex Bregman, I think, could underperform expectations a little bit, moving to a ballpark that doesn't really fit his swing as well. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, is a valuable player regardless of what I believe in his offensive potential. Nico Horner's a great player. Carson Kelly was great last year. Dansby Swanson's great. Matt Shaw had a really decent second half last year, and he'll be a depth piece. I'm a big Moises Ballesteros fan. I think he's going to be a great hitter at the major league level. Michael Conforto looks like he may make the opening day roster, and I really still think there is something there. I still think he could be an above average hitter. He got unlucky BABIP wise. He still swings the bat hard, has a great approach. I think he can still be a league average hitter. My main thing that's holding me back on them being a 90-plus win team is their rotation. They do have a lot of good name value guys, but Matthew Boyd struggled in the second half and he was only 41st percentile in K rate, 39th percentile in barrel rate. I think that there is more of a 3 starter to 4 starter in Matthew Boyd. Cade Horton, I think, is great. His FIP was a 3.58 last year. He was 33rd percentile in K rate, 21st percentile in barrel rate, and 45th percentile in hard hit rate. I think he's more of a 3-4 starter rather than an ace. And Imanaga, I'm worried about him. His FIP was a 4.87, and it seemed like he even got lucky BABIP wise with a 219 BABIP. His strikeout rate was only 34th percentile. He doesn't get swing and misses nearly enough at 44th percentile whiff rate. Gives up a lot of hard hits with a with a 6th percentile barrel rate and 11th percentile average exit velo and doesn't keep the ball on the ground. I could see a universe where Imanaga is out of the Cubs organization entirely by the end of the year or moved to the bullpen or something because I'm worried about him going into next year. Overall, I think their rotation worries me. I like their bullpen, but I think what holds me back is my worry in a lot of their guys in their rotation. In fifth place in the NL West, I got the Colorado Rockies going 50 and 112, being winning 7 games more than they did in 2025. Overall, I don't think the Rockies are a very good team. They added Willie Castro and they added some veteran pitching with Michael Lorenzen and Jose Quintana. Offensively, they're in Colorado, so they're going to perform better than some people expect. Hunter Goodwin was good last year, although he chases a lot, swings and misses a lot. I'm not sure that that's a consistent player. Mickey Moniak was a good hitter last year. I like Tovar and Brendan Doyle. Defensively, I think Willie Castro is a good depth piece for a team. But overall, if he's, for me, in my opinion, he'll be number one in WAR. If he's going to be your best player, I'm not huge on that. They did trade for Jake McCarthy. I'm just not big on their offense. Although there's a guy in TJ Rumfield who I think is a pretty good prospect and could be very good. Same thing with an outfield prospect named Sterling Thompson. I think both of those guys can be good pieces and rookies on this team, with Jordan Beck being a decent offensive piece as well. So offensively, I think they're not going to be as bad as people think, but they're not great. Pitching wise, that's always going to be a problem in Colorado. They added a lot of veteran pitching, and I don't think any of them are going to perform up to where you want to be. Jose Quintana, the only one who had an under 4 ERA last year, but his FIP was 4.92. His strikeout rate was 7th percentile. Whiff rate was also 7th percentile. He gives up hard hits, and I'm just not big on Jose Quintana going into next year. Their bullpen, I think, is not as bad as people think. The most exciting arm for me, in my opinion, is Juan Mejia, 76th percentile in K rate, 85th percentile in whiff rate, 76th percentile in chase rate with a 96.6 miles per hour on average on his fastball. His slider breaks 9.5 more inches than average and drops 3.4 more inches than average on an average slider, even though it had a negative run value. I think he could be the Rockies' all-star representative if he has a good first half, and I think he is their best reliever. But overall, I do not think the Rockies are going to have that great of a season going into next year. Place, I've got the Arizona Diamondbacks going 77 and 85, winning 3 less games than last year. They did add Nolan Arenado via trade. They added Michael Soroka, Merrill Kelly, Carlos Santana, and Paul Sewald, all decent depth pieces. I could see this team surprising me and becoming a playoff team. Their offense is very good. They got Corbin Carroll. They have Ketel Marte. Gabriel Moreno is a good player. Geraldo Perdomo had a great breakout year that I don't think he will repeat, but I still think he will be a valuable player. Nolan Arenado is a great veteran, although I'm not big on his offensive prowess. Um, Carlos Santana is a veteran as well. I think Jordan Lawler could surprise some people. He's never really been given an opportunity at the big league level. So, former top prospect, he's only 23 right now. Will be 24 during the season. I think Jordan Lawler could surprise some people. I also really like Ryan Waldschmidt. I've been a big fan of his since he was drafted. Last year, he had a 143 WRC plus in his AA games. He had 18 homers and 29 stolen bases. He doesn't strike out too much. I think Ryan Waldschmidt will actually be a key contributor on this Diamondbacks team, especially if they are a playoff team or a playoff contender. Pitching wise, I'm not a big fan of their rotation. Zach Gallen, I think, could have a bounce back, but really struggled last year. Ryan Nelson had a really good year, and I still think he will be a good pitcher, arguably their best pitcher, but I don't think he'll have that same like ace-ish level play. I think his FIP of 3.73 uh, is more so where his ERA will be next year. Other than that, Eduardo Rodriguez, I'm not big on Eduardo Rodriguez. Michael Soroka, I like him more as a reliever. And speaking of their bullpen, I don't think their bullpen is very good. I just overall don't think they have good enough, consistent enough pitching for them to get into next year. Although I do really believe in a prospect named Christian Mena, who I think will be a 3-starter at the big league level. So I think Diamondbacks could surprise people, but I have them winning 77 games due to lack of pitching. In third place, I've got the San Francisco Giants going 83 and 79, winning 2 more games than last year. They added Harrison Bader, Luis Ariz, and Tyler Mahle, who's an addition I like. I could see him being a really good pitcher. While really the biggest key piece they lost was Justin Verlander. I think they're about an above average team, which is why I got them at 83 wins. Offensively, I like the addition of Luis Ariz. Matt Chapman, Rafael Devers, and Willie Adames are all really good hitters. Jung Hoo Lee, I think, is a very good contact-oriented bat. But offensively, overall, I don't love it. Harrison Bader had a great year last year, but He had a pretty high BABIP at 359. He doesn't hit the ball that hard. His approach is not the best with a 20th percentile chase rate and 12th percentile strikeout rate. I'm not huge on his offense, but I think he's a valuable player regardless. Bryce Eldridge might get called up. Bryce Eldridge might get called up at some point. I think he could be a good hitter, but overall, their offense to me seems like a slightly above average offense. Rotation wise, Logan Webb's elite. I think Logan Webb's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Robbie Ray is a good depth piece. Tyler Malley, I think, could surprise some people. I'm not big on Adrian Hauser and Landon Roop, but Blade Tidwell is a guy who had a 3.63 FIP in 97 AAA innings. His stuff plus was 107 or higher on 4 of his pitches in the minors, 73rd percentile K rate, and 66th percentile walk rate in AAA. To me, Tidwell could be a very good big league pitcher and be their 2 or 3 starter by the end of the year. Their bullpen's not the best. Ryan Walker's a good reliever, but I'm not really big on their bullpen, and that's part of why I have them at 83 wins. In second place, I've got the San Diego Padres going 88 and 74, winning 2 less games than last year. Part of the reason is they lost Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, Robert Suarez, and Ryan O'Hearn, who were all key pieces on their playoff team last year. They added Sung Moon Song from the KBO. I'm not sure when he's going to play. I think he's hurt right now. Miguel Andujar, who is a platoon piece, and I think as a platoon player, he could be good, but if you're putting him in your everyday lineup, I'm not confident in him. With Nick Castellanos as well, with who knows what he can do at this point in time in his career. Offensively, I really like their offense. Tatis is a great hitter. Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, all great hitters. Xander Bogaerts is a good depth piece at this point in his career offensively. Gavin Sheets was good last year. Ramon Laureano was very good last year. And Jake Cronenworth is very good as well. So I think they got a really good offense. I think their pitching staff is what worries me. I like Michael King. Um, and Nick Pivetta, I think, is good, not as his 2.87 ERA. I would not rely on that with opponent BABIP of 235 and a FIP of 349. I think his ERA will be closer to 4, which is a career numbers. Herman Marquez could be decent. I'm not a big Randy Vasquez guy. He walks people a decent amount. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys with a 4.85 FIP last year. They signed Walker Buehler. Who knows? I think that's really the main thing that's holding this team back is their starting rotation. They're going to need to make additions, or people are going to need to step up. But their bullpen, in my opinion, is the best bullpen in baseball. They also have J.P. Sears. Who knows if Tristan McKenzie maybe will figure something out in the starting rotation. But with Mason Miller at the head of the snake in that bullpen, even with losing Robert Suarez, Adrian Morejon, Jeremiah Estrada, David Morgan, all of those guys are great relievers, and that's why I think that will carry them to a playoff spot. Winning the division once again, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers, this time winning 103 games, winning 10 more than last year. They added Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers in baseball, and Kyle Tucker, one of the best hitters in baseball this offseason, without losing many key pieces on their team at all, or any key pieces. Um, Offensively, this might be one of the best offenses I've ever seen constructed. Shohei Ohtani, one of the best hitters in the world. Kyle Tucker, one of the best hitters in the world. Mookie Betts, I think, will bounce back, but maybe not be maybe closer to an 800 OPS than what he had last year, which was closer to 700. Freddie Freeman's a great hitter, although I think we'll start to see a decline as he ages. Will Smith is one of the best catchers. Max Muncy, J.S. Hernandez, Andy Paz, with Alex Freeland and potentially Ha-Seong Kim at some point, who they optioned before the season started. I think this Dodgers team is just ridiculous offensively. You go to the pitching staff, you got Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, and I think Emmett Sheehan is going to be really good. And I forgot to even mention Tommy Edman in the offense as he's currently injured. Um, but yeah, Emmett Sheehan last year had a 2.82 ERA with a FIP of 2.93. He was 92nd percentile K rate, 93rd in whiff rate, 91st in chase rate. His slider had a run value of 11. I think he could be a playoff starter for this Dodgers team with their bullpen, with Edwin Diaz being the closer. And I think Tanner Scott will bounce back. I think their bullpen will be much better. I'm a big fan of Edgardo Henriquez, 100th percentile fastball velo, and his FIP was a 3.18 in 22.1 innings in the last 2 years. I think Edgardo Henriquez, should be an elite player. I got the Dodgers being one of the best teams, if not the best team I've seen in my lifetime in this upcoming season. That is it for the divisions for 2026. These are the 12 teams that I think will make the playoffs in 2026. At the 6th seed, I've got the Baltimore Orioles, 5 seed, Seattle Mariners, 4 seed, Boston Red Sox, 3 seed, Houston Astros, 2 as the Tigers, and 1 as the Yankees. And in the NL, I have the Brewers as the 6th seed, the Mets as the 5 seed, the Padres as the 4 seed, the Cubs as the 3 seed, Phillies as the 2 seed, and Dodgers as the 1 seed. And now I will talk about some teams that just barely missed the cut. In the AL, the obvious team, the reigning AL champions, team that almost won the World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays. I have them one game out of the wild card. I could easily see them making the playoffs. I'm just really worried about their pitching. And the Kansas City Royals being 2 games out, those were the two teams I was really looking at to potentially be in that playoff, in the playoffs. I'm just worried about the Royals pitching as well in their starting rotation. But overall, I think those two teams easily could make the playoffs and prove me wrong. And in the NL, there was 3 teams that I was choosing between, which was the Braves, Giants, and Pittsburgh Pirates. I think the Pirates rotation, if their bullpen and their offense really show up, they can definitely make the playoffs and even win their division. The Giants, they have a very interesting veteran team, and same thing with the Braves. They were very good for many years, and I think they could potentially bounce back. I'm just worried about their pitching as well. For the awards in the AL MVP, I have the reigning MVP, Aaron Judge, winning his 3rd straight. I just don't see a world where he doesn't win, although I think this award is more wide open than the NL. Um, Bobby Witt Jr. definitely could make it. I think Gunnar Henderson has a chance to compete for the MVP, especially if the Orioles make the playoffs. Um, Ben Rice, I think, could surprise people, although I don't think he will win MVP, but I think he could be in that race closer than people think. And my main dark horse to win this is Roman Anthony. If the Red Sox win the division and he has like a 950 OPS and Aaron Judge and the Yankees miss the playoffs and Aaron Judge is not Aaron Judge or he gets hurt, Roman Anthony to me is the dark horse, could even win MVP with a healthy Aaron Judge. To me, Cy Young in the AL is Tarek Skubal. Um, I just don't see anyone beating him out. Although Garrett Crochet can, I guess my dark horse would be a Cole Reagans or even maybe a Logan Gilbert. Are my 2 dark horses there for AL Cy Young. To me, Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball. The AL Rookie of the Year, I've got Dylan Beavers winning Rookie of the Year for the Baltimore Orioles. I have the Orioles being very good, and I have Dylan Beavers being a big part of that. Um, he has a good approach, hits the ball hard in AAA, and he was good in his little bit of time in the majors that he's had. I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. With Carter Jensen of the Royals being my dark horse to win this award, I just think he's Carter Jensen's also a very very good player. In the NL, my NL MVP Shohei Ohtani. I just don't see a world where anyone beats him out if he's doing both at a high level. Although I do think this could be Juan Soto's year or Fernando Tatis Jr. And as a dark horse, I could see Jackson Chourio maybe if he figures it out and he can carry the Brewers to a playoff spot. In the NL Cy Young race, Paul Skeens, I just don't see someone beating him out. Although Christopher Sanchez and Yamamoto can. Jesus Luzardo is my dark horse pick. I really like his peripheral numbers, and he can put that together for a full year. And Nolan McClain as well as a dark horse pick, but I think it's Paul Skeens. It's his award to lose. And NL Rookie of the Year, I got JJ Weatherholt. I actually had Nolan McClain here until I recently found out that JJ Weatherholt was actually making the opening day roster. Um, I'm really big on JJ Weatherholt. I think he could. Might be a crazy statement. He could be a dark horse MVP candidate to me. And my dark horse Rookie of the Year is like a Sal Stewart from Cincinnati. I think he's a very good player. And also Harry Ford in Washington. I think he's a dark horse pick. These are my all MLB teams. Nothing too crazy there. Team 1, Skubal, Skeens, Crochet, Yamamoto, and Sanchez as the pitchers, with Mason Miller and Yohan Duran as the relievers, with Cal Raleigh, Vlad Jr., Ketel Marte, Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt Jr., Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Tatis Jr., and Ohtani rounding out Team 1. All MLB Team 2, I got Cole Reagans, Hunter Brown, Chris Sale, Jesus Luzardo, Logan Webb, with Edwin Diaz and Aroldis Chapman being the 2 relievers. Was with Will Smith, Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Junior Caminero, Francisco Lindor, Ronald Acuna Jr., Roman Anthony, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, rounding out Team 2. Ben Rice is probably my most shocking pick here. Nobody here is really surprising. These are going to be the best players in the world and also the most popular players, as well as this is a fan-voted award. In the wild card, I have the 3-seeded Astros going against the 6-seeded Baltimore Orioles, with the Astros winning 2-0. I think the Astros have the better high-end pitching, the veteran lineup, and potentially the better bullpen as well. So I got the Houston Astros going 2-0 in this series. With the Red Sox playing the Mariners, I got the Red Sox winning 2-0. They both have really elite pitching staffs. I just think that the Red Sox might have the higher end bullpen and by the end of the year, and the higher end starters in the rotation with Crochet and Ranger Suarez, or Sonny Gray might get the start here. I just like the Red Sox a little bit more in this spot. the 3 versus 6, the teams that tied in the division in my predictions, the Cubs and the Brewers, I have the Brewers winning 2-1. I think that their team is more experienced in the playoffs, and I like their bullpen a little bit more. And I'm so worried about the Cubs starting rotation that they might not have the pieces in their rotation to take them very far. I have this being similar to the Guardians and the Tigers, where one team wins the division, but then they lose to that team that they barely beat out in the end. And in the last wild card series, I have the Padres beating the Mets 2-1. The Padres have Michael King, who's a very good starter. I think Joe Musgrove will be there by that point, and they got the best bullpen in baseball, in my opinion, which will carry them in a 3-game series. I think the offenses are comparable, although I like the Mets a little bit more. I just think the Padres, their bullpen is what's going to make the difference in the wild card round. In the division series, I have the Yankees playing the Red Sox. It's going to be an electric series. I have the Yankees winning 3-2. I think the Red Sox are going to struggle, especially with the fact the Yankees, I think, have one of the better rotations, especially when you get Rodon and Garrett Cole back. I think it's going to be a hard fought series, and I could easily see that going the Red Sox way. The other AL matchup, I have the Tigers getting a bye playing against the Astros. I got the Tigers winning 3-1 in this series. Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez is a great 1-2 punch with a decent bullpen and a good offense. I just think that that's what's going to carry them through against Houston, who I like their high end pitching, but I don't like the middle of the pack pitching in a 5-game series. I think the Tigers will be able to, especially with a Skubal and a Framber Valdez start in there, with maybe Jackson Jobe, or if Troy Melton is healthy, he could get a start there as well. In the division series in the NL, I got the Padres getting swept by the Dodgers. I just don't love the Padres rotation. I can see the Padres taking a game in this series, but as good as their bullpen is, I just don't trust their rotation. And I think the Dodgers offense is just that good. And then I got the Phillies winning 3-0 against the Brewers. I think the Brewers offense is just not going to be good enough to keep up with, in my opinion, the best top 3 in baseball with Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, and Jesus Luzardo, and a good bullpen and a good offense. I just think the Phillies would destroy them in this series. The championship series, I have the 1 seed versus the 2 seed in both leagues. I got the Yankees playing the Tigers, and I got the Yankees winning this series 4-2. I think the Yankees' depth in their rotation is going to be the big difference maker, and the fact that they do have a much better offense, in my opinion. Um, I just think that that's going to be the big difference maker here. Tarek Skubal, Framber Valdez are great, but after that, I'm worried what the Tigers have. What the Yankees have, in my opinion, a great top 4 with Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, and um, who's the last guy? Carlos Rodon. So I just think that the Yankees are a much, much deeper team. I got Ben Rice. I think this is going to be the breakout year for Ben Rice, where everyone, even outside of New York and outside of just baseball fans, not just baseball fans, but like every casual fan will know who Ben Rice is because he is a superstar for the Yankees. And in the NL, both of the teams are very good. I think that the Phillies really are a very good team, could beat the LA Dodgers, but I have the Dodgers winning this series in 7. I think with the Phillies pitching staff, it's so good, but the offensive difference between the Dodgers and the Dodgers have 8, maybe even 9 guys you would trust in a game ending at bat, maybe even 10, 15. Like they just have the depth and the bullpen, and the rotations are somewhat comparable overall. While I do believe that Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo will do very well left with a lot of the Dodgers' best hitters being lefties. I still think the Dodgers win this series, but I think it will be a tough, hard-fought series with Shohei Ohtani winning series MVP. This would line up a 2024 World Series rematch between the Dodgers and the Yankees. I think in this scenario, the teams are much closer. The Yankees will have better pitching, I think better defense as well in this scenario. And I just think that they're both very good teams going into this series. The team I have winning though is the LA Dodgers. I just think the offensive prowess of this team is way too tough to match up with. They got 7 starting pitchers that you trust. I think your playoff rotation at this point is probably like Yamamoto, Blake Snell, you probably have Ohtani making a start, and I think McChanns is going to be so good this year that he's the 4th starter in a playoff series. That you are moving Glass now and Sasaki to the bullpen, which I already think is going to be great with Edwin Diaz and Tanner Scott. So I just think the Dodgers are just way too good. In addition to that pitching that I just laid out, their offense is just even better than the Yankees, although I do think the Yankees have a good offense. I've got Will Smith winning MVP of the series. He hit technically the game-winning home run in the last series, but Yamamoto was absolutely insane. So I think Will Smith is going to be the World Series MVP as we see the first three-peat since the '90s Yankees. A tough thing to do, which is why I think it's very possible that the other teams I really do see in this race are obviously the Yankees. I think the Phillies are a team that's close here. I really think that the Red Sox are a team that's close. I think those are, like, to me, the main few teams that are in this World Series race. With that being said, these were my full 2026 MLB predictions, and thank you for watching.